Welcome, FOMO, on the Handsome Finance podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. I saw you doing back-to-back some amazing trades recently, and you've been talking and trying to build a cult, I could say, around the memes 2.0. Could you let me know what is memes 2.0?
Yeah, 100%, dude. Happy to be here. Memes 2.0, I like to phrase it almost as a Trojan horse for the Murad thesis about believing in something. But there's just something about believing in something that's, at 1 billion versus something that's like sub 5 mil and running it up to like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 mil. So at the end of the day, it's more so just catering to the low port guys that are looking to get the next, 10x, 50x, 100x. And my thing is, not to knock Murad, but it's just not convincing being told, hey, Giga's going to go to 50 billion back in January when it was at 800 mil. Then everyone's buying it. And then 6 months later, we're here in May and Giga's like at 200 mil or something. So a lot of people are down because of that. So for me, it's more so just catering to the trenches, as we like to call it, because there's not really a lot of people, I want to say steering those folks in the right direction. And because of that, post the Libra rug or like the Argentina extraction event and even the Trump one, like a lot of the people that are just trading actively in the trenches are just, being led to the slaughterhouse, so to say, with the KOL scan guys and those that are just like monitoring Twitter accounts to buy tokenized tweets at like 10K market cap and full stacking at 50K, 100K market cap. And those things just aren't sustainable. So memes 2.0, I think I always like to say the leaders are definitely like Fartcoin, and RFC at some point was also a leader because that's what eventually led to Troll, but now it would honestly replace RFC with Troll. But the whole idea behind it is just building exciting and new communities sub 10 mil and running those up to 100 mil plus, because nothing beats that feeling, dude. It's an incredible feeling that I felt so many times last year and I haven't felt it this year yet up until Troll in house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've been really big in Troll and House. How much did you make from those?
Both of those well over six figures. Realized, unrealized, same thing, like six figures. So it's been pretty profitable holding things. And some other ones that I have under the memes 2.0 movement is also Tickcoin and Wizard, which Wizard's on crucial support right now, so hopefully the community rallies behind it. But Tickcoin actually ripped today, and all the other ones kind of dumped, which is kind of funny. So I don't know, maybe because it has to do with like Bitcoin almost hitting 100K. And for those that don't know, the lore behind Tickcoin is like Satoshi almost called Bitcoin Tickcoin. So that was the whole thing. It's not just about gooning over tits, but that's a major part of it now because of the community.
That's interesting. It's been an asset for thousands and thousands of years, so it just makes sense that someone decided to tokenize them now, I guess, in a way.
100%.
That's cool. Wow. So twice six figures, and then probably those ones are going to continue to run this cycle. We will see. The future will tell who was right, who was wrong, as always. An interesting take where, yeah, for sure, like people who start in the trenches with $100, $1,000, $10,000 to their name, they obviously cannot make money with a coin that already run to hundreds of millions. Unless they go with perps, but then it becomes a lot more complicated. And then also the goal of Memecoin, in my opinion, is to always have a chance to be early into something and where the supply is not all controlled by a certain group, which will choose what happens even if you invest in perps. And how do you find those coins? Like what put you, for example, Troll, I'm surprised it run. We've seen this meme for a while. It's an old meme. It's probably been tokenized plenty of time. So why do you think this time was the right time? And why you actually acted to invest in it and thought like, yeah, that's going to go up?
Yeah, 100%. So before Troll, and for me, I always like to look at a few things, looking at like what the leaders are in whatever meta it is that we're in. So for example, RFC, Retard Finder coin, the image for that is like those classic black and white memes like troll,
Yep.
derp, rage guy, things like that. So a lot of people were trying to find beta plays. You know, anytime we have a main runner, whether it be with Popcat, Giga, whatever, we always want to find the next one. That's how we got
Yep.
Michi and Selfie Dog and Spinning Cat, you know, because of those. And a lot of people were just looking for quote unquote the beta to RFC and the trench cook, because everyone was always talking about like, let's get the next 100 million PVE runner, and we had RFC, but everybody missed it. So, you know, we were looking for the next opportunity, which kind of like what you said earlier with Memecoins, dude, like opportunity is literally infinite. There's always something new. And especially with these up and coming developing metas such as RFC, when that popped off, we saw, you know, refi, retard finance, that topped at like 3 or 4 mil or something. And then we saw a few other ones like Ethard, which was a play on like retard finder coin, but it was like ETH maxis, like Ethard. That one ran to like 3 to 4 mil.
I love
also.
that one. I love that one.
No,
I
yeah,
love.
dude.
I don't know. Like it was at the right time as well, because it was like everyone was just hitting on East. Like there was hate posts and everything. I mean, you got to be strong to be a East maxi those days. Let's put it that way.
100%. And I thought that was the perfect token. You know, I think it's like the biggest meme across the board in general, you know, not even talking about the token, but I think that's just a big meme in the Solana community. Like ETH maxis, they're Ethards, you know, like the action is happening on Solana. But there were a lot of precursors prior to Troll. And like, for example, we saw Refi 3 mil, Ethard 3-4 mil or something. And then the day before I bought Troll, I bought Derp coin. And I remember using Derp all the time when I was like a little emo kid back in my teenage years. And I was like,
How long is
Derp,
that?
this is, like 10 years ago, dude, like 10, 15 years ago.
All right, so you're like 24.
I'm
26.
28.
28, okay. That's
Yeah, so
old in
I'm
meme
pushing
coins, by
30.
the way.
Dude, I heard if you're over 20, you're fucking, you're an unk.
Yeah.
So if you're over 20, dude, you're fucked. Good thing you look like you're a cool 17 though.
Yeah, I'm over 30.
There we go, dude. We're unks on top, right?
Yeah.
And that's funny, that the age thing. Not to kind of deteriorate. I'll get back to where I was, but with KuCoin, I think did a poll as far as like what age group is investing in meme coins, and apparently it's mainly millennials. So anyone over like 27, I think, is considered a millennial. 27 to like 35. So that's like the majority of people that are in meme coins. So just a funny stat for you guys to know. But I bought Derp
also,
coin because again, go ahead.
I would argue that if you're under 25, you don't know KuCoin.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense too. We need Phantom to run a poll or something just to get a little bit more data. No, yeah. But with Derp, you know, I thought that was going to be like the beta to RFC, because again, like you always see like these, you know, leading up to what's going to be the next runner. You always get a bunch of smaller plays that have potential, but they top out. Because for example, it was just Shadow pushing these, Shadow and myself with like Refi and what was the other one that I said with Ethard? You know, that was just me. I didn't really see any other bigger KOLs talking about it either. So, you know, there's just a bigger issue with Solana across the board. Like a lot of people, you know, look up to the KOLs and they're not really aligned. You know what I mean? Like they kind of just do their own thing, or they have their little sub chats that try to push things. But at the end of the day, dude, community wins all. And that's literally what we saw with Troll. Because the night before I bought Troll with Derp, I bought it at 300K market cap. It ran up to like 800K and then it died the next morning. And I was like, okay, fuck. Like, so one of these has to run, you know, and that was just like my thing. Because we also had that retarded dog coin, because I think Wojak tweeted about it or something. They were like, fuck retard finder coin, buy this retarded dog coin instead or something. I don't really remember the lore. But even, no, that was after Troll, sorry. I'm like all over the place. But Troll, the way I found it was this account, and it's funny because people always accuse me of like insider trading, dude, but I don't do that. Like all of the accounts that I follow and look for alpha, I have them publicly available in my Notion documents, and that's literally how I get my alpha. Just like the different X lists or the different Twitter lists of people that I have notifications on for, that's where I get my alpha. That's where I make money, because they're the ones that are doing the research for me, and it's all handed to me on a silver platter. And if I see something that I think has potential, which is, gut instinct at this point because of my experience, being here for over a year. And I saw a troll shared by Axis Ace. His Twitter @ is Sigma Dollar Boy. He's always catching bangers left and right. And he shared troll at like 300K market cap. Then it dipped down to like 100K or 125 or something. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. I should buy some. And then I bought some. And then I shared it on Twitter. I was like, I cropped it out, but you could still see like the 4 letters on the top on my main wallet. Because the last time I had done that was with Ethard, and I ran that from 100K to like 3 mil. So I was like, I round trip that, what's another round trip? This one might go to 3 mil or something, because troll is an OG meme, and we've had all these other things that were just edging us to be the beta to RFC. And the rest was kind of history, dude. People were just like, yeah, troll, that fucking makes sense. That's like such a iconic meme, and it fits the current meta, and fuck it. Everybody just rallied behind it, and it was no coordinated pushes, dude. Just everyone hopped on, and I shared it in like a group chat that I hang around in with like my friends, and they all bought, and they were like, dude, troll like just makes sense. Like everyone's a fucking troll. It's an OG meme. It kind of feels like a Pepe like, meme in a way. It's kind of hard to describe, but yeah, it just happened, and I found it because of that account that I follow and have notifications on for. And I've glazed this guy so much. He had like 1,500 followers when I was like following him, but after troll, dude, I just kept quote retweeting him and saying, this is where I got it from, this is where I got Memecoin from, this is where I got AI slot from, this is where I got house from at 5 mil. Like, this guy knows everything. Like, I'm just putting him on, putting you guys on him, you know what I mean? And now he's like at 5K followers or something crazy. So yeah, that's how I found troll. And you see that a lot, to where it's like there's a meta and a need for a runner within that meta, because we even saw Dick Butt go to like almost 10 mil, I think, and that kind of died too. So there was just a lot of coins in that similar like category, I guess, and troll was just the one. You can't explain why. It just, everybody jumped on it.
Okay, so before we go into how do you do your research globally, I hope you're enjoying this conversation so far. I am not, because I realized that more than 75% of people listening to this podcast are not subscribed. It broke my heart, but I can understand. Why would you give another number to this French guy who already has a massive ego? I wouldn't do it either, but do it for you, because the more we have people on this podcast, the more we can bring guests, and guests that were probably sometimes not accessible before, and having a high number of subscribers help us to reach out to them. So you will get a lot more content and a lot more guests that you may love. Or also you can just do it so finally my mom becomes proud of me. Maybe. Anyway, it takes you 2 seconds. Just click subscribe. I want to understand, because how and why this troll ran and not the other troll. I think like troll is probably launched many times on chain. So like people will be arguing online, what's OG, what's not OG. And I feel like this kind of narrative changed a bit right now.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. And I think if you understand like Pepe, that the one that everybody knows and loves, like that wasn't the first Pepe ever deployed. I think it was like the 20th or something that was deployed on Ethereum. So I think that whole OG thing was just an argument with man, I don't even remember. It was a dog, not Pochita. What was the one?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but they were like minutes apart, so it doesn't really apply. I think it was the new dog of the Shiba owner, right?
Yeah, Kabosu or whatever
Nairo?
the fuck it was called. Nairo. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Nairo. Yeah, so that was the whole thing, and that's when people started caring about timestamps, and we see it now to date. Like, oh, I bought this one. Well, this one got tokenized a week ago, so buy this one. And at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Troll even was attempted to get vamped. I really think it was a targeted attack on Shadow. A bunch of people fucking hate him. I don't know why, but yeah, it's like they got the original artist of Troll on board. I don't know if they paid him to like sell his account, but he tried to vamp the coin. At one point it flipped it, but the existing community, the day old community, just held strong and survived the dips. And that was just, again, proof in the pudding that community at the end of the day matters more so than like a timestamp. And when you have a token with like 10,000 holders, it's really hard to try to vamp it. You know what I mean? Unless it's like a Nairo type situation where people were just arguing left and right. So it was crazy.
That's something, to be honest, I'm quite happy that if it's that way, that we're not going to care that much if it's OG or not, because like we should never complicate it too much. But then it comes to the investors as well. Like we are all doing the same shit, but like we all just want the new one. We just want to invest in the latest one. So it's like, what's getting your attention is like people who push a coin right now. So that's why I guess like it's not like someone told like, oh, I'm gonna dig out this old troll and then maybe invest in that one. And then that's the beauty of meme coins. I guess at the end of the day, it's just movement of crowd, and then the movement of crowd are not always predictable in some certain ways. And then if everything was according to a timestamp, then there will be no market because there will be no inefficiency, right?
No, yeah, 100%.
So how do you find your
everyone
place?
Always talks about, as far as finding plays, in the beginning, I was just like completely lost. I didn't know.
Yeah, you say you've been for
like,
a year and a half, something like that in meme coins.
Yeah, I joined the Memecoin rage like in November of 2023.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of November and December just learning. So I was like following Levi's and Wasta and Solstice. So like a lot of like the bigger accounts from back then. And they were, always providing alpha. They were talking about WIF. They were talking about whatever, was hot at that point in time. But I wasn't really using money to like trade. I was just trying to understand the landscape. And I was lost, dude. Like I kept listening to these guys and, it just seemed like WIF was too high in price for some reason. Because again, I didn't know what I was doing. So then I started following other accounts and they were just like rugging me left and right. If I were to like paper trade on it, I was just doing it manually.
Sorry about that, man, but I had to pay for
Yeah.
Christmas gifts, so.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. Yeah, that was a trip, but it was just a lot of trial and error. But now I feel like I've really systematized my own trading style. Because I'm a dad. I have a family. At this point in time, I've made enough money to like log off forever, which is like the goal. But I'm still here for the love of the game and education at the end of the day. But my trading style now, like I don't want to sit in front of a computer for 16 hours like these guys do and trading tokenized tweets or tokenized news events or
horrible
virality. It's just not sustainable. So for me, I've categorized 3 different core trading styles that I see in meme coins a lot, which is the new pair high volume guys that are always looking for new pairs. Like I'm not going to be the one to sit there 16 hours a day. I'll let these guys do it and just turn notifications on for them. If it's good enough for them to share on the timeline and they have a good hit rate, then I'll buy it. I'll gamble on it. Then the second one is like the TA guys, buy dips, sell rips. So the guys that like provide optimal entries for like mid cap tokens, like 2 to 5 mil, even 10 to 20 mil. And they always have like their fibs and charts and shit. I don't know TA to save my life, but consistently with these like 2 to 5 mil market cap tokens, like if it looks like the chart is on like a healthy retrace, like it's safe for me to throw in like $5,000 and triple it or quadruple it within the next 48 hours. And I prefer doing that and sussing out the community versus just sitting in front of my computer for 16 hours hoping to hit the lotto. You know what I mean? And then the third trading style is just like low caps dust survival. So the latest one that took off was Your Mom, the new one.
Yeah.
And that one's like I think it ran to like 20 mil today. It's on a retrace at like 8 or 9. But Ivy, I only have like 4 people on that low caps list because those are like the 4 people that I trust for low cap tokens. And I think he shared it like under 200K market cap. and the
Okay.
rest was history. You know, it ran to like 20 mil. So
You
I
went
just
in that
really
one?
used my, not at when he shared it. I got in at like 1 mil. So, you know, still a 20, 15x on average, I think. But yeah, that was a huge win.
How
And
much
then
did you
my
make
boy
on that one?
on that one, not too much because I didn't go super heavy, but I think
Okay.
I haven't taken profit on it, but I think unrealized I'm like at 30K right now.
Okay, that's good.
It was at 60K like 3 hours ago, but you know,
Yeah,
the market nuked. So
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, we all go into that. Like, that's going to be a point later on how you get in and out a position. Um, but first, what I want to know then is you have three kind of trading style that you look at. So do you say like basically the DJ trench I buy because there's a new tweet? You don't care about that one. You don't do it. I mean, fair play. The mid cap then that you do as well, and then the bigger cap. That's the two ones you do, right? But you
Yeah,
look,
mainly
yeah, you
just
try
like
to go
the
into a retracement, like go in detail into for those two.
yeah, so one of my most popular X lists is called Buy Dips, Sell Rips, and it's a combination of guys that understand TA. And these guys don't have big followings. You know, it's accounts that are at under 5K followers. I think the highest one is Market Watcher. Shout out to him. He has like 30,000 followers, and he always, you know, shares different chart patterns. You know, like he caught the, you know, the bottom from House Coin when it dipped from like 11 mil to like 5 mil, and he was like, yeah, buy here, and the rest is history for that one. And same thing with Aura farming. He's been calling it since under 1 million market cap and always showing, you know, when to enter. And another one of my favorite accounts is Coin Talk CEO. He does like daily YouTube videos kind of explaining TA entries, exit points. Like I really like his format. It's kind of like an over the shoulder, you know, trader showing you how to enter tokens and explaining TA. But you know, it goes beyond, you know, charts at the end of the day for me, because like I can look at a chart and be like, okay, like this guy says it's a good entry, now let's suss out the community, you know. And in my opinion, for a coin to really run, it falls under three categories. The first one is obviously like the narrative or the thesis, you know, and kind of understanding if it's going to be sticky, a 1 day thing, you know, something that could potentially last long term. And then the second is content, like what kind of content can we make for this meme? You know, how can I shill it? You know, like aura farming, that's a really easy one. There's a ton of aura farming content on TikTok and Twitter.
Yeah.
Troll, you know, it's just the troll face. You can use ChatGPT to make different images. And then the third one is volume. You know, if something has less than 500K volume on the daily, you know, if it's like a mid cap token, I usually don't really ape into anything under 500K volume just because it's a lot more volatile. But if it has at least, you know, 1 to 2 mil, usually that shows like there's like a demand for it to like go the next leg. So those are the three things I mainly look at when entering a trade, just sussing out the community, the type of content, and the volume. I rarely ever check, you know, distribution, dude, because like I don't really care. It's a small detail that only really matters when it's like a new pair, you know, like 10-minute old token, and you want to see if you're going to get farmed or dunked on and all that shit. But you know, for mid caps, it doesn't really matter in my opinion. So I usually do that. Then for gambles, like for new pairs, I don't personally hang out in Memescope or anything like that. I usually leave that to like the other people that are good at like finding lower cap gems. Or if for some reason I get pinged on like a wallet tracker or something, like I got pinged about Pitcoin earlier today, which is like the Pit Vipers or MOG or whatever. And Pitcoin is actually the rewards system that Pit Vipers has on their website. So I thought that was like a good enough thesis for it to potentially run similar to like the current meta, you know. And again, that's why it's important to understand like what the runners are, like Titcoin, House Coin, Pit Coin. You know, it made sense to me. And I bought it at 200K market cap, and I think it went up to like 4 mil because like the CEO of Pit Vipers interacted with them. And it's on a rechase right now at 1 mil. I don't know if it's going to survive or not, because legally he had to say that they're not associated with it. So that could be taken as bullish or bearish, you know, however the community takes it at the end of the day. But yeah, man, it's not, I want to say it's not hard to like find good tokens. I think the harder part, like you alluded to, that we'll touch on, is mainly like entry and exit points and the whole like psychology behind trading. Cause I think that's just so hard to like master. And even I to date still fuck up, pretty regularly, whether it be round tripping or not selling, soon enough or selling too late, things like that. So I think that's where it gets more complicated. It doesn't take a genius to find a good meme. It just, you just have to pay attention to what's going on in the space.
Yeah. So if you had to only have one tool basically for trading that can only leave you with one thing, what would you keep?
Probably just Axiom or BullX, in terms of tools.
I don't mean for that. I mean to find your place, not to place a trade.
To find my trades, probably Twitter. Telegram caller channels, I don't really use them or pay much attention to them other than like Bossman and Prada, just because they share more like market broad, things that are going on with like BTC, or they, ping reminders of like the FOMC meetings, like we had today, and fucking everything nuked. So, being prepared for those things. But I think Twitter is just super undervalued, and it's super powerful to kind of understand.
Yeah. So you're kind of like a timeline trader.
Yeah, dude, if you have a Twitter Pro or whatever, XPro, they have their like real time tweet deck thing, and that's literally what I
magical.
use.
I've been talking about it. No one understands that, but it's like that's probably the most undervalued tool out there. Like people buy Twitter tracker. I'm like, why?
Yeah, you could build your own.
Exactly. It's like and who's gonna have faster data than Twitter?
100%.
So it doesn't really make sense, but that's good. That's interesting. I love that approach. And how do you go in and go out then? You talk about like timing the entry, timing the exit. What is your process? Let's say you find a play now on your timeline. What are you going to do next?
It depends on the type of play. If it's like a high volume gamble, I'm notorious for calling the top in my gambling channel. So usually what I do, if it's like under 500k market cap, like let's say I see something at 300k and it just pumped from like 100k. If my gamble size is like $500, if I'm willing to lose $500 on this trade, I usually just throw in $100 at 300k, and more often than not it retraces to like 200k or 100k. Then I throw in another $100 or $200. So it's just really like DCAing into it instead of like full clipping in like your entire gamble size is just something that I've learned over time that I've always made a mistake of, because for me, I'm very high liquid, so I get greedy or just careless in the sense of like, yeah, I can afford to lose $5,000. Let me buy $5,000 of this new pair at 500k market cap. I turn around for a second and oh shit, now it's at 100k market cap. My 5k is now $1,000. What am I going to do now? So I've adjusted that to now be like, okay, it's at 500k market cap. It could go up or down. Let me only put in like 25% of my gamble size in at 500k market cap, and if it goes lower, I'll buy more.
Okay.
It's hard to TA, things that are live for like 10 minutes and the chart is like all over the place, because
so for your entry, you're not looking at just one entry. You're like, okay, if you like this, the 500k, you might buy some. If it goes up, do you buy some more as well, or only if it goes down and then you still like it?
If it starts to like go parabolic and it keeps going up, then yeah, I usually just add in slowly. So if I buy at 500k, then it goes to 700, I usually buy more. Then more often than not, it goes back down to 500k, so I buy more again. If I see that volume is just like picking up, and on Axiom and BullX, you can see holder count. I kind of pay attention to that, and if that's increasing pretty quickly, then I feel comfortable buying more. If it's pumping and the holders aren't really moving, then that's where I'm like kind of skeptical to buy more. Yeah. But usually if something goes from 500k to 700, then 1 million, it'll, if it's a good day, which, that's kind of hard to suss out for most people, but just kind of read the room, see if like the bigger caps are like pumping or if they're dumping. If they're pumping, then usually it's a good day to like gamble, because like people's bags are up. And you get less, 1 million market cap toppers. So I'm aiming for like 2 to 3 mil at least to start start taking profit, and then just riding the rest.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, well, there's a problem with your strategy, because if it goes up, you buy more, and if it goes down, you buy more. So when do you cut losses? And how?
Dude,
Or do you ever cut losses? Some people never cut losses.
yeah, I'm one of those. I usually just like hold things to zero, or if it goes like if I buy something at 500K, for example, and it goes to 700K, then a million. By then I'm up 2x, so that's where I usually at least take initials out. So if it does go, quote unquote to zero, I'm pretty much just breaking even. But let's say it goes to 500K, and then I buy more at 700K, and then it dips to like 300K. I just leave it because for me, like a meme coin isn't really dead until it's like under 50K market cap. And even then, sometimes I've seen shit like get revived and, people scoop up supply and CTO it, but that doesn't really happen now. But if it goes down to 50K market cap and I'm like, fuck yeah, this is like done with, like I sell, I'm down like 70% or whatever, but at least I still have like my initials out to where it's kind of risk free, but I still end up like losing out on the gains that I could have potentially had. So, for me, it's a different story than other people, because I can afford to not cut losses, but most people can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we know you're rich. You don't have to repeat it every sentence.
Yeah, there we go.
So,
if I was asking you to find the tallest building, you would probably not start by just being on the floor somewhere and try to find it. You will try to go on a high point to see what is taller around you, and it would be a lot easier. Well, it's the same thing. If you wanted to spy the smart money, you wouldn't just be on Twitter or YouTube watching something that happened already. You will be scanning the whole blockchain to find what is the smart money doing. This is exactly what Stockchain is doing for you. They analyze all the transactions happening on the Solana blockchains, yes, millions per day, find what is the smart money accumulating or dumping, and all the odds transactions that you should pay attention to. So instead of browsing for hours and days, you get real signals based not on yapping, but where the money is. I mean, it's the same. Like if there was a taller building coming that knows one there, it wouldn't just drop in one day and then be boom, 200 floors. No, you will see the building getting built floor by floor and the work permits, which tells you already what's going to be like. Well, that's the same. Stockchain gives you the vision of what's going to happen in the future because you can spot the live accumulation and the live movements that will move the market before it happens. So head over to stockchain.com if you want to take smarter decisions. And thank you, Stockchain, for sponsoring this podcast.
how do you go out of the position in profit then? If you have an example that one trade that you did recently that would be the best that you consider a good exit strategy?
Yeah. So for Troll, for example, I bought that one pretty early on, and I just stuck to like the whole like take initials out. Once you're up 2x, and then
Always.
on the way up, I was just
You always do that.
Yes and no. If I forget, like yeah.
Well, I
like
mean, most of the time you would. That's
yeah. If I'm sitting in front of the chart monitoring it, yeah, I definitely take out at least the initials so I don't lose money. But for something that I feel is going to go to the distance, I usually try to just sit on my hands for a little bit. And what I mean by a little bit, like an hour or two. So, for example, with Troll, like that just ran very, very quickly, on the first day. Mm-hmm. And, for me, I was like, okay, like I feel like because again, reading the room, Dickbutt went to like 3 to 4 mil, Refi topped at 3 to 4 mil. Ethard topped at 3 to 4 mil. So we've had multiple iterations of this like classic black and white OG memes top around there. So that'll probably be my like first major TP because if you buy 1% of a token under 500K market cap, if it's at 2, 3, 4 mil, you're up like over 30K. So that's where I started just selling like 10% of my bag when it was like hitting 3 to 4 mil, and then another 10%. Then it retraced back I think to like 1 or 2. And then I was like, you know what? A lot of people are talking about it. Holder count just keeps going up. Let me buy back in. So I actually double dipped into Troll. And then it kept just going up, dude. It was insane. And I was like, okay, like people are talking about how this could, everyone's always been looking for like the Pepe of Solana. And I know that's kind of a meme now too. Like everyone always fucking says that for whatever coin they're in. But this one felt like the one because it had similar lore to Pepe. We've had so many different Troll tokens deployed and this one's running. Maybe this is the one. So I kind of just sat on my hands for like a day or two, and then, you know, it crossed 10 mil, and then we had that vamp attack. So I was just still like kind of sitting in my hands. But then once Troll broke like 20 mil, that's where I was like, okay, like this is the one. Like this is incredible. It's going to continue to go up. And at that point I was up, I think like 200 grand or something crazy like that when it was like at 20 mil. So I was like, okay, like how can I sell some of this and not, you know, fuck up the chart or not, you know, get the pitchforks out from people. So I used Meteora's pools. I used a single side liquidity pool, you know, on Meteora, where you just deposit your tokens, and it's basically like DCing out of a position. I learned that from OX Busy, I think is his name, or Blizzy. He's like a Fartcoin whale, and he farms, you know, Meteora pools all the time for Fartcoin. He makes like 10K a day. It's insane. But he said that's like the best way to, like, you know, not fuck up the chart, because, you know, especially when you have, you know, a 6-figure plus bag of a token, like you don't want to just sell and destroy the chart. So that's how I usually exit out of bigger positions. If it's like a gamble 500K to like 1-2 mil, I don't fucking care. I just, you know.
To explain the difference quickly, I study a lot those pools. I'm tempted to build a tool on it, but basically when you do a single-sided liquidity pool, instead of the normal trade, you're selling in the existing pool, so you're dumping on the people who bought after you. When you do a single-sided like that, you put your token, and then it's people who come after that want to buy this token. It only works if it continues to go up. So if the token goes up, then it takes out of your pool, because how a transaction, a swap, is you send your Solana to get some token in exchange. And it is basically what he did is like, he just put like, hey, there's my token here. You can get them at minimum this price, which is the price that you open the pool, and then after it goes up like that. So it's a really nice way to go out a big position, I think. And it's probably something that people are going to do more and more. I've been farming a bit with it. I'm pretty happy. It works pretty well.
Oh yeah, and in the process too, I got money on top of, you know, when the price is going up, you still generate fees on top of, like, you know, selling your own tokens. So I think at one point I was making like $5,000 a day just off of like the pool that I had. So
wow,
yeah, it's fucking crazy. Well, troll volume
there was a lot
insane,
of volume going on. So that's really good. So yeah, that's amazing. There's some alpha around there that I'm not gonna go in details now. But it's an interesting strategy for sure. And then is it something like where that's the problem when you have public like yourself, is you give some plays, and then if you start selling, you feel like people like will go like, all right, he sell, I sell, or it doesn't have that much this impact for your community or people who follow you?
I think at the end of the day, because I used Meteora pools, no one really noticed. So, you know, that's a pro tip, I guess, for, you know, bigger accounts that like want to respectfully exit a position. Like, you just throw it in a pool. And dude, like there's so much like that I've been through with like private group chats or just like publicly, you know, if I ever sell something. So that's why I rotate wallets pretty much every fucking day, because I don't want people to like track me and FUD me, because like at the end of the day they're doing the same thing. They're just mad that I'm potentially selling
it is
before
I
them,
think
you know what I mean?
Honestly, you shouldn't pay too much attention, because at the end of the day they're here to make money, and they would like themselves to make money, but not if you make money and they don't make money. But then they will piggyback on your research in a way. So it's like I stopped caring. I just don't full stack Hitler chart, but I'm here to make my money. You follow what I do if you want to. But at the end of the day, at the end of the month, it's only me counting if I'm in the green or if I'm in the red.
Right.
and no one's going to be here for me if it's in the red. Like I round tripped before, I did some stuff, and then people will like, they don't fucking care. Like when people win, it's because of them. And when they lose, it's because of someone else. But that's the bad people you don't want to hang out with. So it's actually, those people are never going to help you grow or they're never going to get better until they understand that they should blame themselves if they follow the wrong person and not blame that person. And then you just kind of like push them away, I would say. But I think it's becoming better. And then it's actually singling to it is I see like now the meme space that we are. So we are recording this at the beginning of May 2025, and we had one coin running to 100 million recently, house coin, which was like the main thing that happened since the big down of when Solana went below $100. Do you think, or what do you see about the space? Do we have new people in, or we are just trading against other deep crypto people, trencher, and things like that?
No, yeah, I think we're still getting a lot of new market participants in. I just think they're being steered in like the wrong direction, because at the end of the day, like wherever the attention is at, that's where people, flee towards. And I think, like I alluded to a little bit earlier with like the whole extraction events that we had with like Trump, Melania, and the Argentina thing, a lot of the big accounts, dude, they either got wrecked or round tripped all their, bags. So they kind of went quiet February through April. And the people that were still around were all the KOL scan guys. And dude, like I go on there and I don't know 90% of the people on there. Like I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? But it's just crazy because like the attention is there, everyone goes there, they watch these guys live stream, and it's a mess, dude. Like they're just like not educating people the right way to go about, meme coin trading, which again, I like to say no disrespect on like your trading style, but I will disrespect that Twitter monitor culture because I fucking hate it. And that's why we didn't have any runners during that period after the Argentina thing, because all the big accounts were quiet, dude. They were gone. You know what I mean? And the attention was on these guys, and
they were gone for a reason, though.
Yeah,
they were gone
there
for
was
a
nothing
reason.
happening. Yeah, it was a fucking ghost town. But those guys are still there, and I feel like everyone just got conditioned to like buy something at 10K market cap and sell at like 200K. So yeah, I was gone for the majority of February because I had a loss in my family, so I wasn't really as active. And yeah, it was just a fucking nightmare whenever I would peep like what the hell's going on chain. And yeah, dude, it was just horrible. But I think now we're in a better spot. Like you mentioned, house coin went to 100 mil. It's just like on a regular retrace when you get a mega runner. It's like at 50 mil, I think, or something. But I think like that's also what kind of sparked the whole memes 2.0 thing, to where we just need to pay more attention to the trenches and these developing communities, because house and Italian rot, for example, like those have just been slow cooking for like the last 30 days, and now they're in the limelight, and now people are like excited to hold things again. Troll kind of sparked that up again too. So I just feel like, with memes 2.0 and just the future, we're just in a much better spot than we were, back in February and March for sure.
I agree. Even Pump Fund is shipping updates now, which is crazy, right? So it's like it's good. I truly think that the team, they care more that people think, and they just timed the thing perfectly, because like now what they did with the evolution of the bonding curve that doesn't go to radium but go to pump swap, and the process is much faster. Then they almost fully killed the let's dump it all before migration and let's snipe on migration. Because like that's the thing as well. Like most of the people that were good before, when it was bull market, it was just because they were faster on Twitter, they were glued to their screen, and they were sniping. They were sniping on migration. But now the skill set seems that it changed, and then those people they are not able to make that much money now, because it's not about being just quick.
No, yeah. I still think that like a lot of people kind of are using like the old skills from back in the day with like the new wave of like even pump swap. Like they're still buying things as soon as they like get deployed, and they're just selling into like the volume on like the new pairs. So it's kind of just changed a little bit. But I think what's more attractive again, like for people, is just buying something under 5 mil and seeing that go to like 10, 20, 30, 50 mil,
That's probably where the
feeling.
new crowd is. that's probably where the new crowd is. Like, I haven't seen much like really new people in like deep the trenches trading the cheaters, like below 50K market cap. But that's probably where it is, because that's why a lot of the old CT, including myself, I would say, like, did not fully understand like why some coin would go to 100 mil right now, or thing like that, because none of the trenches were holding those coins, and then they rotated it, and that's probably a good thing, because trenches are value extractors in a way.
No, yeah, 100%, dude.
And then they give it away to casinos after, so
yeah,
it doesn't even work out.
you just round trip the gains 24/7. And yeah, I'm really big on like taking profit and, you know, making sure you're taking care of your stuff in real life, because it's hard to hold things when you're low cap, you know, when you have a low port and you have a fucking, you know, a lot of debt in real life, and you have a car payment and rent and all this other shit. But you know, if you start setting goals, which is what I did when I first started trading memes, dude, like I had $30,000 in credit card debt. I had no house. I was just renting.
You had 30K in debt a year ago.
Yeah.
Like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, a year and a half ago. And now I have now I have well over like, you know, $8 million realized in profits because of this space.
Man. Congrats.
No, yeah, thanks, dude. And yeah, like everyone wants to, you know, be a millionaire from memes and stuff, but I think you just gotta like remember, like that's a great goal to have, but you gotta have like these smaller sub goals. And you know, everyone has their own journey, but my journey was just like, my goal was literally just to make $100 a day and end up with 30 grand by the end of the year to pay off all my shit. And I did that in my first month, you know, actually like trading. Like I learned everything in November, December. Then January 6th, I think, is when I made a tweet. I bought used car very early, and I was like, yeah, like, you know, day 4, I've made $600. Let's fucking go. You know what I mean? And the rest is history from there. You know, I had a bunch of good tokens in January, and you know, my first big win was the Tremp coin, like the poorly drawn version of Tremp. I think I bought like 2% under 50K market cap. And that went to like well over 100 mil. So I made a lot of money off of Tremp. I think I made that's where I made my first 900K off of Tremp alone through like a combination of Meteora. Yeah, through a combination of Meteora pools and you know, just selling and DCAing.
Wow, man, that's fucking cool. That's crazy. I love that. Wow. So actually, you made a lot more. Like I would say, maybe you were not on my algorithm, Twitter algorithm before, but me, I've been seeing your stuff for the past 2-3 months, I would say, most of this thing. So were you active on Twitter as like creating content back then, or not?
Yeah, I've always been around. A lot of people still don't know who I am, which I think is great, because then that just means that I have more room to grow and spread, you know, my guides and my story. But yeah, dude, I've always been posting on Twitter since January of last year, and I've always been sharing stuff. And you know, I got in Tremp early. I got in Selfie Dog really early too. That was another 6-figure trade. I got in Billy early. That was another 6-figure trade. You know, but I did a lot of that.
Like
and
you took out, converted to USD, or what happened?
Yeah. I mean, I'm US based, so, you know, I knew I was going to get fucked by the tax man. So every time I would cash something out, I would always set aside like 40% of whatever I cashed out, just to pay my taxes or whatever. But yeah, pretty much every big win I would have, I would, you know, just cash it out, because I wanted to like get my life in order, dude. Like I paid off all my credit card debt as soon as I made like 30-50 grand. Like I set aside, you know, 40% of that. The rest went towards debt. Then I made another, you know, 100 grand, and same thing. I just kept chipping away at my debt. And once I was debt free, I bought a house, you know, after I made some more wins. And then I bought an SUV for my family, nothing fancy. I just got a Hyundai Palisade, completely decked out, paid for it in cash. That was fun. And then, yeah, I just started putting money away, and now I have a cushion for pretty much forever. But I think now, you know, it's not really about money at this point. Like obviously money's nice, and I kind of have imposter syndrome. Like, yeah, like I round trip 10 grand, like that's 10 grand that could have gone towards, you know, my bank account, you know what I mean? So It's a little bit of a battle I have with myself sometimes, but I actually spoke about this on Spaces last night. What really kind of set me straight or made me be more disciplined and responsible with my money and not just shooting blanks all day every day was that I paid, for a funeral in February. It was like 15 grand when everything was, said and done. And now every time that I'm spending money on here and I'm up like 5 grand, I'm like, yep, that could pay for 25% of my next family member's funeral. You know what I mean? So it's a depressing way to make me more responsible with money, but I'm being more precious with it.
Yeah, it is. I think also like how we evolve in the trading, it's challenging. Like, because I run a few wallets, like I like to run like from a really small amount. For me, it's really easy to take like $100 to transform it into 1,000, 10,000 or like 30,000. But then after you need to adapt and change your trading style. And then you need to always evolve. And that's quite a challenge, I think, in a way, because like, what you had with the selfie dog and all those plays, we're not gonna exactly have that now. But does it mean that we can't make money? Actually, no, we can. And then maybe just like everyone should not be aiming to make like 1 million on one trade or 100K or whatever, but like just make a good amount of money. And remember that it's stacks the good plays together. Medium good, medium, like small good, it doesn't matter. But if you stack it up at some point, like you're gonna have a runner in your hand. Like there's just no way to not have that.
100%, dude.
I don't know about you, but I think you shouldn't have to get 15 monitors to be able to trade meme coins. Why can't we have everything in just one place? Like the scanners, the algorithms, and what are the smart wallets buying and what is the volume doing? Right? It would be amazing. Well, that's exactly what stock fund do. You can even have it on your phone and you will know with their algorithm, print scan, for example, they scan all the new pairs and you will get calls that are like below 30K market cap, which is insane. And their performance actually is crazy. Some 20x, 50x, 100x just this week. So instead of having to scan through all those meme coins, I can just follow this and do my research from the calls they give me. So I save a lot of time and I don't miss out on the big plays. Now, could I trade without it? No, and I'm okay with this. So if you want to trade out at least 1 month, maybe it will change your trading forever. Head over to Stock.fun. I will put also a link in the description.
Like I'm guilty of that too. Like it's really easy for me to turn 5 grand to like 20, 30,000 in like a day or two. But when I start to fuck up is when I have more than like 50K in liquid sold to play with. I just want to buy everything that's like on a retrace or gamble on new pairs and stuff. And then my 50 grand goes to like 20K the next day. And I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? So, I always have like no more than like 10K on chain or like on a single wallet that I'm like playing with. Cause I know myself now at this point, I've round tripped so much fucking money and have ran up 5 grand to like 6 figures with routine, for example. And then, I sold and then it dipped and I wanted to go in for round 2 and that 100K quickly became 20K because it nuked and never came back. So, there's just lessons and your tuition for the trenches, and you would think I'd know by now, but greed is real in this space, and it's just
greed is real.
Being disciplined, it's fucking hard. And
I think like people should look more about like their own thing and stop looking at big wallets on Twitter or whatever, because it's a little bit like you can play basketball, you can win some games and have some fun, but it doesn't mean that you need to compare yourself to like the top NBA players and be like, what the fuck? Why didn't I make that? And then it's like, yeah, but I enjoy making 1K or 5K with meme coins per month. Don't try to go 500K. And actually you started with low expectation. That's probably why also you managed to make a lot more, because you're like, all right, I'm just going to try to go this and this and that. And then maybe over a year I make 30K, and you didn't came in and thinking like, all right, I'm gonna make 500K now, and I'm gonna buy a Porsche GT3 because I have to do like everyone else, and being not able to sell when you should.
100%, dude. You gotta snap yourself back into reality, and it's a hard thing to do, especially when you see all the P&L porn on fucking Twitter, you know, kids making like 10K off of a single trade. Or my favorite one is like, oh, today was a slow day, and then their profit's like $7,000. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, who makes $7,000 in a day?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those P&Ls are fake as well. Like, that's the reality. Like, fake P&L is a big thing, and I know it works because I did it. I did an experiment where for 1 week I would post only fake P&Ls, and I never got any issue. Never. There's one guy that replies, say, fuck, man, that's my P&L. But who's going to see him? He got like 500 followers. No one's going to see it. And I went into with him. I said, yeah, I'm running a social experiment just for fun. But no one's doing the work to verify on chain. Like, even you could see people like lying on perps, because I know like perps, for example, on Memecoins, there's really not that much liquidity on it. But still, it's really easy to change the numbers. And that's what you say. Porn is the right word, because it is that. Like, porn is fake. Same as most of the P&L you see online, unless you make the effort to verify them on chain. And that's another job to do. Like, I would say, like, and then the P&L never helped you to trade better. So it's more like knowledge that's going to help you.
No, yeah, 100%, dude. So yeah, discipline is super hard, and that's why, like you said, like I think that's what made me super successful too, is that I just had low expectations and I had certain goals. And I always tell people, dude, like, assess your financial situation. Like, yeah, you made $1,000 today. Like, if you have a credit card that's like at $500, you know, pay it off. You know what I mean? Like, don't think that you can make another $1,000, because this is probably your first big win anyway. You know what I mean? Like, go back to your $500 port and run it up again. It's not hard. What's hard is when you're up and then you just want to buy everything and think that you're a god and can fucking turn shit to gold. And I've been guilty of that, and I still am to date, dude. Like, I support so many communities, and I want to, you know, buy a bunch of shit, but I usually end up fucking up if I'm in way too many positions. And as long as I have my initials out and I took some profit, I can comfortably put a moon bag aside. And I've spoken about this too, dude. Like, you don't have to full port something or have a huge bag in something to like have conviction in it. Like, you can still have like a moon bag left after you took out your profits, or, you know, you're comfortable holding something, even if it's like $100-$500, you can still have mad conviction in it. Doesn't really matter what size of bag you have on it, you know?
Yeah. And what did you do before crypto, actually?
I worked in marketing. So I did, you know, I own 2 businesses in real life in that like sector, marketing for like B2B businesses, B2C businesses, and SaaS companies. So I understand like a lot of like content and virality stuff. So I feel like I had an edge going into
this
the
was
market
before
last year
crypto
too.
that you were doing that.
Before crypto. Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, how did you get into debt with doing that job?
Yeah. I got into debt because like I really wanted to move out when I was younger, and I made a lot of bad decisions when I was younger in order to move out, you know, just maxing out credit cards for like furniture and all this other shit. So I was pretty irresponsible with money, and I learned my lesson. You know, I was always budgeting, you know, right before I got into crypto. I was like, all right, I need to get my life together. And, you know, I had kids, and I just wanted a better future for them. So you know, I was slowly chipping away at the debt, you know, every month, but it was just frustrating, you know, paying interest and never really seeing the principals go down. So I was like, yeah, I gotta fucking change something. So you know, cost of living in America is just insane. And, you know, even with a high paying job and 2 side hustles, because, you know, that's what I was doing up until the end of October. I quit my job, my full-time job, at the end of October. So now I just have my businesses and Web3. It's just really easy to get into debt, especially if you go to college, dude. You graduate with debt. So it's fucking crazy. So yeah, it was just a combination of just life and health insurance shit, and not being able to get covered when you have kids, and just a bunch of, you know, things like that, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It's all taken care of. And
that's good. Why did you choose Memecoins out of everything?
I didn't really understand crypto that much. I bought some Bitcoin, you know, when I graduated from high school, but you know, it was only like $100 and it wasn't anything like crazy. And I never really looked into it. NFTs weren't really my thing when I looked into them. And then I bought Solana like between 10 to $30 because of one of my nerd friends kept bugging me to buy it. He's like, dude, I'm so bullish on Solana. Like, you got to buy some, just buy $1,000 a month or something and you'll be fine. And I was like, okay, you know, so I started doing that. And then, you know, I made a ton of money and I was like, oh shit, like this is going to pay off a lot of my debt. Cause the 30K when coming into the Memecoin trenches was actually like 60K. But I trimmed off a lot of it because of DCAing into Solana for like a year between 10 to $30. So I turned like $13,000 or $14,000 into like 50 grand or 60 grand or something. I don't really remember. And it was all through Coinbase. And I was like, holy shit, like I can pay off like a lot of my debt here. And, you know, potentially put a down payment on a house. You know what I mean? Cause that was like my goal with like my wife. So I paid off like half of my debt and I was still left with like 30 grand because it was like 50 or 60 or something. I don't really remember. So that was like my first big win. And then he was like, dude, like you got to check out Memecoin. This is like in November. He's like, you got to check out Memecoins on Solana. Like I bought this one called Dog with Hat and it's like, you know, doing really well and blah, blah. And I was like, okay, dude, like I you know, listened to you with Solana and you wiped away half my debt. Like, let's fucking go. So I looked into it and I didn't buy anything November, December. I started playing around at the end of December a little bit. And yeah, it was crazy, dude. Like just my life completely changed and I'm forever grateful for, you know, Solana and Memecoins as a whole. And my friend,
you have a good friend.
Fucking put me on. Yeah.
Let us know what is his next call.
No, yeah, for real. He actually just like bought a lot of whiff early on and he just sold when I hit I think like $4 billion and then he just doesn't really do anything anymore, so shout out to him.
Fuck yeah, that's solid. That's very, very solid. Do you enjoy trading?
Honestly, like I like more of like the community side of things. I fucking hate like worrying about entries and exits and stuff. I like gambling also, you know, so I don't know, dude. Like sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't.
Common
so
denominator.
Yeah.
Have you been like a casino or poker guy before trading meme coins?
Nah, not at all.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to play card games. And I've never actually been to a casino. I think I went to a casino when I was 18 because my dad had to work in like Las Vegas or something for like a job. And I went with him and we stayed at a hotel / casino and I saw him playing the slot machines, but I was just like, yeah, like this is kind of stupid, but whatever.
So like now that you're pretty much set, where do you put that money in? What are you investing
right
in?
now, dude, I just cashed it out because my next thing, one of my relatives does like Airbnb, you know, as fucking boring as that sounds. I've been, you know, potentially looking into that. I bought 2 more businesses, like bought stake in like 2 different SaaS companies, like in the last, you know, 2 or 3 months, just because crypto kind of slowed down, like after like the Argentina stuff. And, you know, I had the death of my family. So I was like, yeah, like, you know, I'm not really doing anything. So let me just like suss out some deals. So I bought some, you know, stake in like some SaaS companies that make like 10, 20K monthly recurring revenue or something. So
what kind of SaaS,
crazy.
like B2B, B2C?
They're B2C, both of them. And I was working on another one that was more of like a media company, content influencer type thing, but that kind of fell through just because I feel like that market's kind of oversaturated. There's just so many content creators and companies that do that. So I kind of talked myself out of it. But yeah, a lot of it right now, you know, my goal is to just, you know, everyone's goal is to make money and make even more money, but like I don't know, at this point, like I just do nothing and I'm set. And even in Web3, dude, like in the last 7 days I made like fucking 12K off of like trading bot referrals. So like money is just everywhere, it seems. And you know, sometimes I feel grateful, but other times I have like this imposter syndrome because then I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I gonna do next? You know what I mean? But then I gotta remind myself I'm here every day, I'm talking to people in crypto and Web3. So I enjoy that more so than like the trading side of things, because money, like I can do nothing and make at least $3,000 a day doing nothing. So it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I don't want to feel useless or not do something.
So what do you like
'cause,
actually to do outside the computer?
dude, I read like a motherfucker. I've read like 50 books this year already. So my mind is like always occupied with like reading.
What kind of book?
I don't really. I've been reading a lot of nonfiction lately. So just like the generic, like The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, and I actually just bought this, book called Cryptomania. It's about like the FTX crash. So I got to read that one because I wasn't a part of that shit. So I want to understand the lore and crypto and what happened. So that'll be an interesting one. But last year I was just reading a bunch of fiction, like just random YA novels that I read as a kid, like fucking Hunger Games, Maze Runner and shit like that. But now I'm like in this nonfiction self-help mode. So
you read like 4 hours a day, 3 or 4 hours a day.
About, yeah. When, I wake up, and I read for a few hours, and then throughout the day when the kids take a nap or when I'm just, hanging out with my wife, like I'm usually just reading because I don't really like watching TV or movies. Like there's just a very select few things that I like watching, like Star Wars stuff and Marvel stuff. But other than that, I kind of just block everything else out because I just don't really enjoy it.
Okay, cool. Where do you read?
Where do I read?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an office, so I usually just sit in here and read all day. And then, if I see any notifications on, XPro or whatever, then I kind of check it out. So I do a little bit of multitasking, but I like just like deep reading in the morning when like, it's like market open and things are just dumping anyway. So I just don't really pay much attention, but do a lot of reading. I guess like my next like goal is to take care of my fitness because that's been lacking for a minute. So I gotta get on the fucking treadmill, dude, and work out and stuff. But I've been going outside a lot with my kids lately because the weather's been nicer. So just a lot of life maxing at the same time too. So it's nice not having to worry about, money and having that big cushion. But again, like, I've had mental health problems, as a teenager, and sometimes those things kind of creep up because again of like the whole imposter syndrome thing. Like, not that I feel like I'm useless or worthless, but like I guess stepping into my shoes, like I'm a dad, I don't work really, and I don't want to be like a bad example to my kids that I'm not like doing something, but at the same time I got to remind myself I basically am doing something. I'm a content creator at the end of the day. So I don't know, it's just things like that get to me sometimes. But
I think it's gonna get through. Like it's just weird at the beginning when you do something you love, you don't feel like working, and then people don't understand. Like same like I know, like for me, like I did entrepreneurship pretty early on, and my family could not understand. Like I would wake up every day and be fucking happy, and then just work when I wanted, work a lot. Some days don't work much. Like I mean, when I started online back then, it's a bit more than 10 years ago. It was really different. It was a lot more slow. So like when you build something, you could hold on to it. Now you got to be always on. But like still now, I could work 7 days a week. I don't fucking care. That's the beauty of it, I think. So do you live in the nature or you live in city?
I live out in the country, dude. I grew up in
I could figure out. Yeah,
city.
that's why I was asking that, because I wanted to understand a bit more like what's your surroundings to understand your trading style. And of course, I think if you're more in touch with nature, it's less stress. So you're not going to be trading like a degen fast paced thing.
No, yeah, 100%, dude. I live out in the cuts. I live in a gated community. A fucking country club is literally like a 2-minute walk away from where I live. It's like a new, neighborhood and stuff. So like it's fucking dead quiet. All my neighbors are old. They're all retired. They're all like doctors and fucking high level CEOs and shit. So they're like, what the fuck is this like 28-year-old doing in this neighborhood? So it's like super chill. And they're all super nice. And it just like grounds me too. Cause they're like, yeah, I've worked, my ass off 30 years and now I'm retired and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm basically retired now. Like, it's fucking crazy. And I haven't taken these guys up yet, but they always invite me to like the country club to like go golfing, and I've never done that. But it's like,
why you don't do it, man? Go do it.
Yeah, that's like the dream, dude. Trump golf, so I should golf. So
Yeah, man.
I gotta do more shit like that.
Yeah, try new stuff. Like allow yourself to try a lot of new stuff. Like it can help a lot. Back to the trading though, because people are gonna be like, "Why, Antoine, you start to talk about life? We want to make money." Um,
Yeah. Well, these are
But-
valuable life lessons too, dude. Because
it is, but no one wants to listen to that. People want to watch people going into sports cars on YouTube and buying watch with diamonds. Like it's going to bring something to your life.
No, yeah, dude. That doesn't like get me going though. Like for me, it's more about like changing my life. Like my life's not going to be any different if I have 30K on my wrist. You know what I mean? But some
Yeah.
people love that. They want that like validation
Yeah.
from other people. They want to be the guy that pays for everybody's drinks at the bar and stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, like if you're doing that, you probably don't have a girlfriend or a fucking family. So I mean, like you go home to what? Nothing. Being drunk, spending
Yeah.
money, you know, like that shit doesn't get me going. What gets me going is like if I want to go to fucking Japan tomorrow, I can do that. If I
Yeah.
want to go golfing, I can do that at any time. But I think to like segue back to the trading thing, taking breaks is so fucking important, dude. Like I can't tell you how many times like I've been on a hot winning streak just to lose it all because I didn't just walk away and be happy with like what I made that day or that hour or whatever. Same thing with like losing. If I'm just getting fucking wrecked left and right, I have like a 4 streak rule. Like if I do 4 trades really good back to back, I take like a day off, or you know, I just step away from the computer for a few hours. And if I lose 4 trades back to back, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna log off for a few hours or just go do something else, because it just
Don't
refreshes
revenge,
your
yeah.
mind. And yeah, or even when we have like market resets like we had today, you know, like a bunch of coins tanked. Like Stickman was like at 6 mil yesterday, now it's like under 2 mil. So you know, the meta is probably going to change. Some bags are going to survive, some bags are going to die. So it's just getting a fresh brain going in and not having that bias towards whatever, you know, you were up on and now you want to revenge trade it or see it revenge pump like that. That's just not healthy. So I'm a huge advocate for taking breaks 100%.
I agree. Yeah. Also, I think like there was something like to let it go. If you were not here when there was something that happened, like you can't blame yourself. You were not here. You were not here. Like you're not gonna, like if there was a play and then it ran in the morning, you were not there because you were offline or whatever. It happened. So what's the point you have like bad feelings to yourself for it? It's not gonna change anything. It's just gonna make your trading worse. I know a lot of people like they hate themselves because they miss out on Trump and they hear that some kids made 30 million. Say, yeah, but so what? Focus about yourself more than think. And I think that was pretty good. Like in Cupsy got interviewed recently, right? And he talked about that, and he could feel in his voice, yeah, I guess I faded it, but he didn't care. And at the end of the day, he's still one of the most successful trader on chain for fresh pairs on Pump Fund. So like, don't blame yourself. Don't go out of your way. Don't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna trade like 16 hours a day now because I missed Trump. Like, find a strategy that works for you. What would you say,
100%.
like, if you had to give like only 3 tips to wrap this up? 3 tips to someone starting for Memecoins.
No, yeah. Tip number 1 would be to set realistic goals. So again, if you know you want to pay off debt, you want to make your car payment, you want to make your rent, start with that and cash it out, because it'll just make your life that much easier and allow you to just have a clear mind when trading. The second tip would be to size in accordingly. You know, like if you're rocking a 5 sol port, 3 sol or whatever, don't full port fucking everything, because that's the quickest way to run it to zero. So, you know, if you have 5 sol, only do 0.5 on gambles or 0.3, you know, and just stack your wins that way, and then you'll have a higher port. And number 3, once you know, do make a bag, like don't go crazy aping everything under the sun. Like if you start with 5 sol and you run it up to 30, you've probably never had 30 sol in your wallet. You're going to fuck that up. Just cash it out, reset back to 5 sol or whatever, and just run it up again. That's like, I wish I had that, or I always had that advice, but even now, you know, that because I'm high liquid, like I get greedy sometimes and I just start to lose sight of that. But what I started doing this month was that I have 3 separate wallets. I have one wallet where I transfer all of my referral money to, because what I was doing was just claiming it and using it as like gamble money, and I would end up not cashing out my referrals. So yeah. So, I just let it stack, and my referrals add up. I make like 20 to 30 grand off of referrals every month. That's incredible. So cash that out. So I have a referral wallet, and then I have a profit wallet. So let's say I turn $1,000 into $5,000. I take that $4,000 and I put it in that profit wallet, and I cash it out at the end of the month or the end of the week or whatever. And I don't transfer it back to the trading wallet, like the main trading wallet that I have. Because if you do that, you're going to end up just oversizing into plays or trying to buy a bunch of stuff at the same time, and you're just going to run that down like 20 to 30% very, very quickly. It's happened to me so many times. So just having 3 different wallets has just been super helpful for me lately.
Nice. Yeah, cool things. Yeah, appreciate that. I would say like one thing, like I feel a lot of people that start, they try to buy candles, green candles or red candles, buy green candles, sell red candles, like focus more on the meme. Focus a bit more on the meme, like enjoy it as well. Enjoy it. Don't come
some
just
of the best
for the money.
traders I know. Yeah, dude, some of the best traders that I know, they don't even fucking look at charts, dude. Like, there's this guy, Degen Soul. I have his wallet. He's made like over $1 million off of Farcoin, fucking 300K off of Hosiko, and just a bunch of other shit that he just buys, and he just uses BonkBot. Like, he's not looking at a fucking chart. He just buys using BonkBot.
Yeah, I mean, crazy enough, I remember back then,
shit.
Mitch, when he came on YouTube, on the podcast a long time ago, he was saying that already. Like for him, he was like, don't really care. Like even his position in Italian brain world, like he bought at like, I think 500K or 600K. And then it instant nuked to less than 100K. Like there was probably a bundle or whatever. Get nuked. And then after, as you say, like they come back crazy. And then Italian brain rot went up at 10 million or even above 10 million. So it's like focus a bit more on the memes so you can enjoy it. Like know what you invest in. I think it's important. At the end of the day, you have to enjoy that thing. Well, thank you for coming and sharing that much knowledge, that much experience, and your story. I really appreciate that. I guess, what should I say? People, if they want to follow you, just go on Twitter, or do you have other venues where they can know more about what you do and your research?
No, yeah, I'm available everywhere, but the main place to find me is definitely Twitter, which is at FOMO So yeah, that's where I share literally everything, alpha, tips, tricks, everything in between. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Dude. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.